Okay, so we're going to start off with a little bit of a story time as we get the abstract stream up and running. Hello and welcome to another edition of X Video. Hold on. If this is your first time tuning in, don't leave me just yet. We talk daily while we're showing off our $50 abstract wallet. Oh my goodness, we're bragging. Not really. But we talk daily about Web3, NFTs, all that kind of crazy jazz. Some people are calling for the end of it. Other people are like, nah, we're vibing. But let's start with a little bit of a story time. So there has been, how do I preface this to begin with? And this is based off the title. So I don't think, apart from this year, that I've ever had like an incident on the road that was like decently significant, where it's escalating, there's fender benders, all that kind of other stuff. I don't think I've ever had that until like last year, a little bit of this year, and more particularly the last like 2 days. I was driving down an intersection the other day, and somebody has a stop sign, and they just go right through it and turn. So I'm just freaking blowing the horn, right? And then today, we're in like a major grocery store parking lot, and there's this big truck, and it tries to squeeze between me and this other car. There's no room for the passenger side to get out. There's no room for the driver to get out. And I'm like, I don't know if this person wants to be a dick. I don't know if they want to throw the hands. You know what? I've seen hockey. Listen, I've watched the UFC. Think we know how to throw down if we need. But it's just, I don't know what it is with people. In 2025, the stupidest things that are completely unavoidable. People are way too relaxed. Nobody cares about anything. Where the hell's the passion and intelligent? Because it's gone. It's absolutely gone. Cool cats are worth zero. That's what I see when I see that image. That's fair. You know what? That's fair. It's all about perspective. Because all I see with this is that silo logo. I don't really care about who's old. I don't care what's holding it. As long as that orange circle is alive. But Boomer, what in the halibut is going on? So ridiculous. I don't understand people. So let's get into it. Boomer, I know we chatted very briefly earlier because there's a lot of people that might have the punks and the POW token from back early days within Pixel Vault. And we've seen on the timeline that the 16 punks that started it all, that the auction is live. So looking at this, it says proceeds will be used for the GG ecosystem, which I believe is on Arbitrum, games.fun, and rewarding players and developers as we build the next gen of Pixel Vault. And so you go to the auction link and like, I have to connect my wallet, which I was like, all right, like I kind of want to see what the what the bids are going for, but excuse me, do I want to click on the link? You know what I mean? Like all these first time people, I don't really love sites that force you to log in with the wallet when you're just trying to view something. But for these different assets, these are some of the different characters that they have within it. So just going back to like the images you can see, so like G-Funk's characters, that one with the pipe and it's there. The clown one is Frank, and so that's that. And they've been building out. But what I thought was like sort of weird about it is that Hunter Orrell commented saying, wait, what? Why would I be correct in assuming this means a mega heavy shift away from the Punks IP and you guys are just focused on building gaming? Because again, the concept around this is that like if you own the Punks, you're supposed to have like the IP for it and then being able to build on top of that, right? Like that was a big notion within the crypto space. And I mean, Moonbirds got hit pretty hard at the time when Kevin Rose was like, we're going to CCO the project and anybody can do whatever. And there was somebody that apparently had like $100,000 deal set up. I don't know in what kind of fashion, if they were putting it on drinks as a logo or what. But then that got kiboshed. And so G-Funk responded to that saying, we don't need to own the CryptoPunks to keep telling our stories. The fractional vault has been forgotten to the lore of the 21 cycle, and these resources are best used toward moving the needle on what best aligns our community and company. The GG token, games.fun, and our games. Chris will continue to build on our stories, mostly for fun. So I don't know if that means that they're completely going away from the Punks, if they're just going with the character IP, because again, I mean, we can say that they're like the same thing, but also it's like done in like a completely different light. When you look at the two, you're like, okay, like that's similar, but do we say, all right, that you need to own those for the IP rights, which begs everything else into question. A little bit of a shill here, guys. We have been working on the RWA Segments podcast, and segment is actually now live on the Abstract portal. So if you guys are around, enjoy the show, enjoy what's going on there and the podcast, would love for you to go check out and upvote the segment platform itself that's available in the Abstract portal, and it's just under trading. You'll see that on there. And that's basically what it looks like. Much love if you go out and do that. Mudtooth, great name, says NFTs are so boring right now. It feels like a group chat you forgot to leave. Bum, 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 bum. Apes only engage when their founder posts. I would say, yeah, I don't really feel like, going out of the way. There's people that say, oh, you want to buy like an NFT to be a part of a community. Doesn't mean like you're instantly accepted. There's all these like loose notions of things that I don't think are necessarily accurate, but true. Penguins waiting for a new toy line. I mean, for Pudgy Penguins, I feel like the big focus is more on abstract chain and the benefits from abstract chain and the token. I don't really think people are out there saying, oh yeah, I'm, as a Pudgy holder begging for the next tour line. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Azuki's the anime collection waiting for a new YouTube episode. True. We're in a bear market of creativity. Totally agree. The entertainment has sucked so far this year. Everyone's building, but no one's shipping. Even rugs used to be more entertaining. Well, that was because some of the values, some of the notions. I've told the story before, but there was this thing called Asylum Hall Genesis. And there was all these rumors that came out that this collection was made by Larva Labs, the creators of CryptoPunks, and the collection went absolutely bonkers. To then the art reveal happened, and everybody was like, "Yep, nope, this is not the quality of Larva Labs," and then it went straight to zero. So let's talk about the world here for a second, because that's what we're doing. We're talking a little bit globally. We're talking into the world of the internet. Crazy that lunch costs like $18, no matter where you decide to go. True. Keep that thought as we're going through here. The last transaction ever to be made at one of the Hudson Bay locations. So this was a company that's been around for like hundreds of years, and it can't last in 2025. Is that from overspending? Is that from not having the right products? Is that from people shopping differently? All these different questions can be asked. And then we see this is starting to come out, where now the offering is to turn your home into a personal Bitcoin treasury. People saying leverage long all of your hard assets. How well does that go over? Well, look at the market. Toronto spring housing market is dead on arrival, says Johnny here. More homes sold in May 1996 than in May 2025. And I've seen a whole bunch of posts about people showing like crazy losses on houses for a couple of years ago. And then you see stuff like this. And then you see stuff like this. Lamar Odom, which is a former NBA player, has been evicted from his LA home after failing to pay his $45,000 a month rent. All right, so that's just like ludicrous to absolutely begin with, but hilarious in the grand scheme of looking at everything else that's going on. And then Bill Noble, one of my favorite YouTubers that talks about crypto out here, highlighting this post from Watcher Guru that says just in $698 billion worth of homes are for sale in the United States, a new all-time high. Bill's response: a lot of people sold crypto to buy houses. Big mistake. See what happens? But just saying, the world is on a little bit of a teeter-totter here. Steve G saying, I hate making floor comparisons, like truly hate it, but Apes at 13.5, Penguins at 9.5, and Azuki at 2.1. Huge fan of all three, but Azuki feels criminally undervalued right now. Pengs 2, to be honest. I mean, is everything overvalued? Is that more what we should look at? And I mean, we've seen collections that have done stuff and then people have not cared about it. We've seen collections that people have done very minimal things for it and people have cared about it, right? We have the art, we have the utility collections, we have all these sorts of things. But I think the big component with these three is there's expectation of something more to come. And if the music ever stops, what happens to those floor prices? Do we get a point where it's ever exclusively looked at from a historical perspective? That's the thing to watch as we're moving on here. All right. An NFT project just raised nearly $20 million, and you missed it. I disagree. We talked about it. We've highlighted it leading up to Mint there. It's a little bit of a red card. But with that being said, is nuts that we do have some massive successes, right? And I mean, when we look at Clanosaurs, they've won animation awards. I don't think that they've launched that many videos. They've got some cool stuff with it, but what makes it where they can go out and raise $20 million? Well, the narrative, the excitement, maybe nobody else is looking like they're any sort of like legitimate competitor within the Web3 space, or the ones that are legitimate competitors aren't doing any sort of mints because they've done mints before. And it's, I mean, listen, we compare and contrast. A lot of these things are doing the same same thing. But BlackRock doing something a little bit different. We've seen an absolute onslaught of Bitcoin buys for these ETFs, everything else. And it looks like all of a sudden BlackRock is now selling their Bitcoin to go into Ethereum. A lot of talks about the altcoin market. I hate when people say, this or that is never going to happen. I do think that obviously Bitcoin can go to certain heights, and I think that we can see an alt market run for sure, but just interesting in the context of they seem to be selling a lot of Bitcoin to go into Ethereum. Very, very interesting. At over $600 trillion, real estate, not a real estate, is one of the most valuable asset classes, even though we just looked at apparently catering. Now it's on chain, starting with Dubai's title deed tokenization built on the XRPL. Learn how tokenization is rapidly moving from pilot to platform. Okay, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to give you a little bit of a shill. All right, so we talk about the RWA Segments podcast all the time. One of the most recent episodes that I did with Fabrica or Fede Palmi, an Italian guy to San Francisco. His Comcast went down at the beginning when we were recording it, and then they had to go outside, and then they were on the rooftop of San Francisco looking at the bridge, talking about how like Sam Altman living down the road. These people are crazy, intelligent, and super fun to listen to. I have a 30-minute conversation with them on there. If you're watching on YouTube, would love for you to check the description down below, or if you happen to follow me on X, again, I say this every single episode, you can check my bio on there, and you'll find this, or just typing in RWA Segments. This is a really, really, really fun episode. We go over basically everything that they're doing, and I hope you guys enjoy and learn something a little bit newer. Coop saying, never going to stop fighting for on-chain music. On-chain music. When was the last time that somebody brought up music NFTs? I feel we maybe have mentioned it back with Gala Games because they did like a music node. Gala's done like all these different things. But with that being said, there's a huge stigma around music NFTs from both sides. Crypto natives have completely written them off, and music fans think NFTs are a scam, both for good reasons. And again, do we have to rebrand what NFT means, or the verbiage that we use to just simply digital assets, which doesn't really sound as fun, but you get the idea. New chapter starts when the crypto piece is invisible and new pricing dynamics using Doppler protocol make liquid markets for songs a reality. Okay, so this went into a point to a show. Right, that's going to be a yellow card. But that being said, I do agree that we've kind of talked about the piece of, for gaming, for anything around crypto. Once it's invisible, that's all that matters. There's a lot of us that are like speculating around things when this is supposed to, in essence, be a sense of ownership and being able to move things at the speed of light. Well, not that fast, but way more than me selling and buying a CD type of deal. Potential royalties, enhancements, and everything else under the sun. But there's still a lot of focus on the technology itself, and we haven't hidden it just yet. Just in, Chinese firm Weebus files to raise $300 million for XRP Treasury plan. Notice how all these big players are out there trying to make pretty bold and aggressive moves for the crypto industry. And Circle, the IPO, is said to be over 25 times oversubscribed. And what's funny about seeing this is when the announcement first happened that they were going to do this, people were like, whoa, I don't want to buy this. I want to maybe grab it in the aftermarket type of deal because maybe it's going to kind of, do well initially and then kind of crater off. But it looks like, man, this thing could come out and just absolutely rip. Miles saying, I don't know why people talk about quitting crypto. I think it's engagement farming, but let's continue. This space is always going to be here. It's the future. Yes, it's changing. Maybe crypto Twitter isn't as fun as it used to. Maybe it's harder to make quick money, but there's some seriously amazing use cases being built and adopted. I want to be around for that. What else am I going to do? Lie by the beach board? I like learning and investing in new tech. I friggin' agree. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. If you missed the beginning of this, we talked about how we were getting down, we were getting dirty, we were going to become, the tough guy on the hockey team type of deal, just by being out and around people. This is why digital's the future. Unbelievable ridiculousness that's out there. Hi, can I put an order for fries with that? But the fries in the bag. Funny enough, we got a McDonald's coffee right here for you. I can't get you fries, but I can get you a coffee. Peckham, I appreciate you coming through. I'm doing that thing where as soon as you show up, I end up being done, and I feel horrible because it's not a you thing, it's a me thing. So we could talk about the relationship later, if you know what I mean. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you missed any of this, feel free to watch the rewind, check out the RWA Segments podcast, or check out all the other live streams. Again, at some point, maybe we'll do a little bit longer ones, but we're just trying to do these kind of quick recaps and hope you enjoy what it is. But Boomer, thank you so much for coming on through as per usual. And Peckham, love seeing you. Talk soon. Peace.